Ever since the XFL reboot in 2018, names like Johnny Manziel, Colin Kaepernick, and Tim Tebow have been bounced around as possible stars in this new reborn league. At the same time, Vince McMahon was very adamant at the time about not having players in the league with questionable backgrounds. The player he was most likely referring to was probably Johnny Manziel. Ever since Manziel was cut by the CFL and briefly played in the AAF, the question was, would he wind up in the XFL? When June Jones was hired as the first ever Houston Roughnecks head coach and GM, he was asked if there was an interest in the former Heisman Trophy winner, who he worked with in the CFL just for a brief period.
No question. I think the thing that, like I said when I was saying there, that I love finding players, and I was fortunate to be around Mouse and Dre Glanville at young ages, that I learned real quick that good players make good coaches, and so you got to go find them and you got to go get them, and obviously that starts with a quarterback, number one, but you got to have some speed and you got to have some skill around that guy.
There's people in this town that have mentioned many times, you've heard it already, it would be great to get a guy like Johnny Manziel here in Houston.
Yeah, no, I know. I had Johnny in Hamilton. I enjoyed the 5 or 6 weeks. He played very good for me, actually. But he wanted to get on the field, and I could see that it was going to take a little time for him to learn the system. So, Johnny is an interesting guy. I mean, he is competitive. He's proven that he has won. He's just been through a lot in the last 3 or 4 years. That's kind of a league decision there. But definitely, I assume that he'll be in the draft pool. I assume that.
Based on newly released court documents, Daniel Kaplan of The Athletic reports that there was no chance for Manziel to play in the XFL. The league was never interested in him, mainly because of its owner, Vince McMahon. Now, McMahon's lack of interest in Manziel is nothing new, except that McMahon was getting increasingly frustrated with Oliver Luck for not putting that subject to rest. Here's the text exchange from the court documents. Quote, "How long are you going to play this game, Oliver? You know there is no chance in hell," which is a Vince McMahon phrase, "for Manziel to play for us. I will not, in caps, change my mind. So what's your plan?" Luck let McMahon know that he had no intention of signing the troubled QB. It was just a marketing ploy. That's all, Vince. Quote, "Vince, we have no intention of signing him, none whatsoever. We're just milking the story to stay in the news. I'm happy to categorically rule him out. Both Jeffrey and I think it is worth to milk it until the showcases are finished July 12th. At that point, we can say he doesn't fit in our plans." Close quote. But that wasn't the end of the Manziel talk. June Jones said in early September leading up to the XFL draft, quote, "Johnny Manziel is probably on 5 lists and was on one of mine." Close quote. Now, the league's milking of Manziel's name is not surprising, nor is it really wrong. The league is trying to make a name for itself, and the press and fans are asking. We know all about that at XFL News Hub. To stay in the news, you have to do that. After the XFL draft, Manziel was one of several names not drafted, and the XFL put the subject to rest. The real issue is the subject of Manziel was one of several reported rifts between McMahon and Luck leading up to the kickoff of the 2020 season. The controversial signing of Antonio Callaway to the Tampa Bay Vipers is another one. So as this legal proceeding unfolds further, we should learn more about how the promising partnership between Oliver Luck and Vince McMahon came more fractured and ultimately led to where we are now, which is in court, which is unfortunate. But the story is, this Manziel thing was another one of those frustrations that McMahon had with Luck that built upon itself with other issues that we'll learn about that ultimately led to this nasty breakup. Now, in the end, Manziel is now playing with the fan-controlled football. We'll see how that goes. They kick off their inaugural season in February. And Callaway signed with the Miami Dolphins this year, but was cut before the end of the season.